So we're starting out this Sunday, doing a little bit of maintenance here on the flatbed. After driving to North Carolina and back last weekend, it really needed an oil change. So, getting that done on it real quick. I actually started the morning, got the Harley out, went for a ride. But I think the next project today, because it's a pretty nice day and I really don't have anything going on, we'll be pulling the transmission out of the dually so that we can get it rebuilt. I want to have it all the way out and apart before I order parts for it, just in case first or third gear is too damaged to reuse. I know the synchronizers are bad on third. Pretty sure they're bad on first, but I think first has mechanical damage the way it's kicking out of gear. But we'll find out more once I get the transmission apart. But I didn't want to order parts until I knew what everything was going to be needed, because I'm trying not to leave it sitting here too long, because it is blocking my 04 in the garage. I don't drive that truck a lot. I usually drive the flatbed because most of what I do is work. So I take this, and it's easiest to get out. So as you guys know, the front diff in this thing is gutted, so we don't have to worry about the front drive shaft. We have to get the drive shaft off the back here. I do want to check U-joints on this truck. I noticed a bit of a clunk in the drive line. Felt like it's got a bad U-joint in it. With the transfer case off, I'm going to go ahead and separate that from the transmission. We'll sit it to the side. We'll have to get the cross member out, and then get the NV4500 out of here. Honestly, if I had the transfer case out today, I'd be pretty happy and had the transmission ready to pull. But we'll see how far we get. I try not to work too much on my days off, but this project really does need to get done. So we'll see about getting it out of here. So we're working on getting the shifter out first. So it's got a couple Phillips screws that go down through the floor. Which that one actually might already be out, or it's not grabbing. Figures the last one I wait for, it doesn't actually do anything. So now we should be able to get this boot up. And there we go, just top the shifter. We'll grab a ratchet and some sockets real quick. We'll get the shifter out of here. So I thought these were metric at first. They are on the new Venture 3500 that's in my other truck. It's been a while since I pulled a 4500 apart. But actually a 3/8. So now that that's off, should be able to take the whole shifter up and out of there. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in the cab. I actually set some shop towels down here, so if it trips a little bit, it won't be getting all over the floor. That's all we should have to do from the top side here. I'm gonna disconnect the four-wheel drive linkage underneath the truck. I'm gonna leave the shifter alone. But I will get some shop towels to put them over this so nothing tries to come up in the cab. Getting the fluid drained out of it now. Fluid actually looks like it's in really good shape. I'm gonna go ahead and drain the transfer case too. Well, that's not very inspiring. I'm gonna guess that this transfer case was really low on oil. So I might end up having to pull this thing apart too. Yeah, it's not just a flow problem, there was just almost no oil in this transfer case. Alright, well, looks like we might end up pulling the transfer case apart too now, and just making sure that there's nothing wrong with that because of how low the gear oil was in this thing. So I've got the shift linkage to the transfer case disconnected. All of the vacuum harness is off. So right now we're down to just getting the rear drive shaft out of this, and then once that's out, we're ready to pull the transfer case. I am surprised that came off that easy.
Somebody's done it. I'll leave those bolts up in there.
So on the way home, I could feel a clunk in the drive line. I was really hoping it was going to be a U-joint, but nope. I'm going to have to tear apart this rear diff soon, rebuild it too. I also see a leak on that side. I haven't checked yet to see if that's brake fluid or gear oil. But when I get back over there, I'll poke it and see what it smells like. But yay, we get to build a diff. Diffs are one of my least favorite things to assemble. So we just jacked the transmission up to find out that whoever had taken this transmission out last never actually bolted it back to the mount.
Yeah, it looks like you gotta bolt this one off the
Yeah.
trans mount.
Yeah, but this plate's supposed to bolt down right here through to this mount.
Yeah, and then you bolt these down.
All the hardware for the cross member is all different random sizes of bolts. I don't understand how you lose this many bolts. I'd like to also make this clear, this is not George's work. This is the stuff that George has been working on undoing since he got the truck. The owner before him really hacked this thing up. So we'll just keep working through it. I don't know if you guys can see that shining in there. That's a pair of vice grips inside the frame rail because the cage nut's turning on this. There's no flag left on that cage nut. I'm actually wondering how they even tightened it in here. Whoever had this transmission out last was kind of a dick. Forgot bolts, wrong bolts, all that fun stuff. This truck does have 282,000 miles on the dash, but the speedometer does not work, so the odometer is currently not counting. But seeing all that play in that rear diff, that kind of makes me wonder if maybe it tagged the sensor or something like that. So in the not so distant future, that rear diff's going to be coming apart too.
Get all your bolts out, right?
Yep, so this is that cage nut that was spinning in there. There's like no flag on it. It would just free spin and hit whatever it wants. So, and this goes back together. It's getting all new grade 8 hardware for all of the cross member stuff, and I'll have to get new bolts for that trans cross member that's missing. It's gonna be a bunch of hardware. Oh, I missed it. Got the cross member coming out here now. Decided to go get a bigger hammer. Like I said, these things are pretty well pinched in there, so getting them out can be a bit of a pain. So I went ahead and just tucked the slave cylinder out of the way here. I've got my 2 bolts out on my side. Anthony's got his 2 on his side. Now we're just going to kind of walk the whole thing back out of the bell housing. And the trans and transfer case should all be down as one. And there we go. It's lowered out of the truck. Now we're going to get the tools and the jacks out, and then we'll drag out the transmission and transfer case. Here it is. So I think this is going to be a tomorrow problem. We'll split the transfer case off tomorrow. Oh, look. Just realized. It's missing nut on the transfer case, too. We'll go ahead and get the transfer case off of it tomorrow, and then I'll split the transmission apart. So I'd say in the next couple days here, you guys have another video up, and we'll go through what I find when I tear down the transmission and the transfer case. Pretty happy with the progress, though. Transmission's all the way out of it. Get the shifter and everything out. I am a little disappointed that we're going to have to take apart the rear diff, but it happens. I'll look up what the rebuild kit is. I already looked up the transfer case. A reseal kit to tear it apart's like $30. I think the rebuild kit's 120 or 130. So while we're here, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Saw one of the U-joints on the drive shaft. Looks a little bit questionable. So probably just go ahead and put all the U-joints in the drive shaft. Just try to do as much as we can while we're here, because I really don't want to have to do it again. Alright, so I was curious. We're going to go ahead and just pull the top off. Let's see what we see. I'm going to sit you guys down for a minute, and I'm just going to look through here real quick because I can't see really good with the phone in front of me. Alright, so if you guys watch here, I'm going to pull in, and when I pull this way, I'm pulling into fourth. There we go. So I'm not even in all the way, and it's already grabbed. So when I go to go third, pushing as hard as I can here, and it's not doing anything. So third gear synchro is smoked, and we knew that. Now inside of here, this is first gear. So the way this works is 1, 2, 3, 4, reverse, and then fifth is in this housing on a new venture, 4500. I'll see if I can find a shop light to show you inside of here, but first gear is damaged. We're going to have to replace first. It kicks out if you don't hold it into first, and I kind of figured we were going to find gear damage once we tore it apart. So let me see if I can find a decent light real quick to show you in there. So with a little bit of light in there, you guys can see the damage on first gear. So that's why first gear is going to kick out and why it's not holding unless you hold the shifter and There are even times if you get on the throttle in this truck, doesn't matter how hard you hold that shifter forward, it'll kick out of first, which first is pretty useless in this. This is a heavy duty trans, so first is really just a gear to creep with or when you're pulling a pretty heavy load. But we're going to order the master overhaul kit, which is all the bearings and seals, races, synchros, all that for this. First gear is for sure going to get replaced. I need to check this collar when I get it apart to make sure that it's not damaged. I don't think it's going to be. I think we'll probably be okay, but we're going to check to make sure anyway. And then I need to see what they've done with fifth gear. I really hope they haven't welded fifth gear nut on. If it doesn't have the updated fifth gear nut, we're going to install the updated one. These have a problem. The vibrations of them, if you lug them in fifth, will cause the fifth gear nut to back off, and fifth gear will slide back on the output shaft and you lose fifth. So we'll do the updates to that while we're in there if it hasn't already been done. Like I said, I really hope they didn't weld that nut on. I really don't like using that particular method to fix it, but either tomorrow, maybe the next day, for sure at least by Wednesday, we'll have this whole thing torn down, and we'll get the list of everything we need to order to get the transmission and transfer case back together.